Hi guys, this is Conrad, GOG Boxing. Good to see you again. I'm feeling a little bit better, a little more energy, but I'm still taking it easy. I had the flu, still isolating, but okay. What I want to talk about today though is slipping. Now it's hard to practice slipping. It's hard to even get where you feel like you can slip, especially when you're new or rusty. And I know what it's like when you are new. I remember everybody, and you remember it and you see it, a new guy and he's trying and trying. He tries to slip, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's getting pounded, he's getting frustrated. This is a simple drill, simple little drill. There is some footwork to it, but it's more focused on rhythm. So you get where you feel the rhythm and you feel like you can slip, and it will help you get past that first barrier, because slipping's awesome when you do it, and when you do it right and you slip a punch, you feel cool and you can punish the other guy. And you know, let's face it, boxing is a sport where it's fun when you're doing it well, or at least when you're surviving. It's not much fun when you're getting pounded, right? So I hope this helps. It's a simple drill. Don't say, oh man, that's so easy. No, think about it. Just try it. I think you'll like it. We're going to go up to the war room because I'm in Europe, lockdowns everywhere. Can't get to a gym. I don't know when I'm going to get to the gym, but bear with me and let's get to work. 1, 2, 3. Okay guys, slipping. Now, one of the things that what I try to do is give you tips that will help you get ready so when you go to the gym that you don't feel completely lost. And slipping is one of those things that I find that when you're new or when you're rusty, oh man, it goes out the window. But especially when you're new, it's tough. Now you will hear all kinds of advice as a newbie. Things like slip by an inch, you know, slip if you slip it and then make them pay. All these things, and these things are great, and as you get more advanced they will make a lot more sense. But when you're beginning, I know how hard it is, because even if you come back to the sport or your first day back in training or you're sparring and you know you try to slip by an inch and you don't, and you get hit, you know, by about a foot wide fist in the face, right? Also, some of the drills, the explanations that you hear, they really make sense when you get more advanced, when you've done this a while. But when you're new, they don't. They just don't. I know that. Now, let's talk about some of the things that you do here, what they mean, and the different kinds of slips. Now, the first thing is, now you've noticed, if you looked at the other videos, that I like a high guard, right? And you'll see me in the videos slip in a specific way off the high guard. Now, there are different guards and there are different ways to slip. So if you see me slipping off the high guard, that actually will look different than, say, someone who's in a regular guard and is slipping, and every time they slip to the side, they're doing a little pari, for example. There are slight differences. One of the guys who I thought was just awesome, and he never gets credit for his defense, is Marvin Hagler. And we're going to talk about that later. People talk about different defensive masters like Pernell Whitaker. They talk about, well, one of my favorites, he just won again, is Chocolatito, right? These guys are stars. If you watch Pernell Whitaker slip, he will do things that, you know, he would just crazy things, almost defy gravity. Okay, that's great. It's the same thing if you watch Floyd Mayweather Jr., the things he did. These guys are kind of like the Michael Jordans of boxing. If you try to emulate them, you may not be able to, because they were just so great. Okay, they were just so great. What I want to do is give you some things to help you feel like you can start slipping. Now, first of all, people talk about slipping in a few different ways. And one of the things that you'll get when you first start is that they'll say, when you slip, it's kind of the same motion as if you, like if you're going to slip to your right, it's as if you threw a left, a jab, right? Because see how that motion, how you take yourself off the center? Yes, but when you're starting, it doesn't certainly, maybe it feels a little bit more normal with the hook because you're taking yourself off the center, but it doesn't quite feel natural. The other issue is that a lot of times when guys practice slipping, when they start, you'll get two guys put in front of each other and they'll do this drill. And we're going to talk about this drill right now. We've got, you know, I'm in Europe, COVID. I don't know when we're going to get back in the gym again or work with partners. And of course, I've been a little sick, so I'm kind of isolating. But you'll see a drill where there'll be one guy standing in front of the other guy, and one guy will throw punches like that, and the other guy, he'll slip, he'll take it off the ribs, he'll take it off the ribs, and then maybe he'll throw the punches back, right? And they'll go back and forth. We'll talk about that drill one day when I get, say, Roman back one of these guys and do it 2 by 2. But what you'll get is when you're practicing slipping, whether you're practicing kind of like what I'm talking about in the high guard, or whether more in a boxing stance where you're parrying, if you stand in one place and do that, a lot of times, especially in the beginning, it will feel really strange. It'll feel like, one, you're glued to the ground, right? Which seems to be contra, because especially when you're starting out, most coaches want you up on your toes. If you are in a more of a kind of a old-timer stance where your weight's more on your back foot and on your front foot, you're still not really going to be, you're not on your heels, right? So when you're used to being up on your toes, maybe going this back and forth thing, and then when you start practicing slipping, you feel like you're glued to the ground. And I know that feeling, you know, when you have a bad day, even hitting on the bag, and you're throwing your combos and you feel like your toes are glued to the ground, you just don't have your balance. And a lot of times that's how slipping feels in the start. Now, a lot of times in the start, somebody will throw a jab at you and you want to slip outside of the jab, right? So if I'm here through the jab, I'm going to slip outside of the jab. That's kind of a general rule. Get outside of the punches, okay? When you start, and if you're just in a static position, you'll get outside of the jab, you'll slip. A lot of times they'll slip and their head will be kind of over, right, like that, which I don't like. They'll slip, and then, you know, they'll say, and then you can come back and punch, but it doesn't feel natural. One, because your feet are glued to the ground, and two, because you may just be taking yourself so off balance, okay? This is why I like the slip, which is what we talked about, which is a slip, and it's a little bit of a slip and a combination of a block. You don't have to do it that way, but what I want you to do when you're in this static position, we'll start with this first, and then we'll get to the drill, which we'll talk about the rhythm, okay, which is where I think it's really going to help you. When I talk about slipping, and it is a little bit like throwing a punch, but you slip, you get off the center line and get your chin behind your elbow, see? Like that, right? And you look through, if you're doing a high guard, you look through like binoculars. That way, if you don't quite slip enough, you've still got something to block it, your arm and your hand, and also you got your bounce. So even if I take a hit, I could punch back, okay? But we're not really talking about a static position, right? A lot of guys, when they're explaining the slip, they'll talk about just slip, or even just parry. Slip a little bit off that center line. So if you drew a line right here, and I'll put a little arrow in the video, then you'll slip off that center line. This all sounds easy, but when you're starting, I know how it doesn't feel easy, and it certainly doesn't feel easy the first time somebody throws a punch at you. So this is a little drill, okay? This is a little drill that will help you feel more natural with it. Now, this is not the be-all, end-all of slipping. There's a lot of things that go into slipping. Not only you gotta get your balance and feel natural with it, but you gotta get your reaction time. You gotta get where you read other people. So that way, for example, if you see that little outside twitch, that means I might be coming to throw a hook. There's things that you will learn, and you can only learn through sparring, and also working with hand pads and things like that. But reading the other guy, a lot of that comes with sparring. But to get that slip feeling more natural, here's a short little drill that you can practice. And it may seem silly at first and too simple, but we'll talk about what the footwork aspect of it is and why it will make you feel better and what you can do off it. Now, key to this is, in a static position, it's hard to do anything. Even if I'm on my toes and I'm just sort of staying in one place, it's hard to do anything. You know, there's the same thing we talked about with the pivots. It's much easier to practice pivots where you're practicing getting that twitch in to help you turn, and it's getting and then later, sure, somebody's on, you can do a little pivot, you don't even think about it, right? But in the beginning, you don't have the muscles even developed or your tendons developed. Same type of thing. You know, you see the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, where Robert Redford, he can't hit anything when he shoots, but then he says, "Can I move?" And they're like, well, okay. And then he moves and he shoots and he hits everything. This is kind of the same type of thing. You will feel better and you'll feel looser when you can move. So what do? We are going to go forward and we're going to go back. Now, when we go forward, you know when you get to first boxing class and they teach you to do this kind of walk forward, which I never really liked, but there's sense to it because it's teaching you to take a step on each punch, right? The problem is people start doing it sort of like rock 'em, sock 'em robots, but okay, you're teaching you to take a step with each punch. This is the same type thing, okay? It's the same type thing. So if we were going to do it very mechanically, so you see, I think you can see my feet, is here I am, right? And I'm going to do it out of high guard. I take a step forward and I slip to this side. Then my back foot has to catch up, take a little step, and it goes to this side. This side, this side. Left, right, left, right, left, right. And when I go back, right, left, okay? That's kind of a basic movement. Now, I guarantee you if you walk like that and you slip like that, somebody's going to go right, left, and they're going to hit you right on the noggin. That's not the point. Part of the point, yeah, you do got to get your feet there, but here's more what it looks like, okay? Just a simple form. You want to get a rhythm and a bounce going, okay? Think about if you watch early Marvin Hagler fights, right? And you'd see Ron Havlin, he'd come out, he might be in the southpaw stance, he might be orthodox, he would switch. You'd see him and he'd be more like this. He didn't do a high guard, but you'd see him he's always kind of jerking, right? Always kind of jerking. Now, that bump, rhythmic bump is what we're gonna want. So, if I'm gonna do it again, and I'll do it slow, right? Step, 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 step. You see this? Step, 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 step. Now, I'm not really doing slips so much right now as I'm just practicing that rhythm. And why am I practicing that rhythm? Now, what's the purpose of this bob? This left, right, my left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. Well, one thing is to get you loose and to stop you from being glued to the ground and just doing this glued to the ground type try it slip, which you're not going to be able to use, okay? That's the first thing, because it's important also when you move. This is not like a martial arts. There's a lot of martial arts where you're sliding your feet. No, in boxing, you take a step. You glide your feet over the ground, but you are taking steps, okay? And that's one reason why you get this looseness, this bounce. What does this bounce do for you? Well, there's kind of three kinds of fighters to watch out for when you start. There's the beginner. Then there's the guy who, whether he's a beginner or not, he's a heavy hitter. Those guys, they can really, you can get disappointed in yourself pretty quick once you start getting cracked. And then there's the more advanced guys that just can, when you're starting, they'll just take you apart. You probably won't be sparring those guys anyway. You shouldn't be if they're too advanced for you. But you might wind up with the big heavy hitter who's not that advanced and the beginner. Now what happens with the beginner and the heavy hitter anyway? Even if the heavy hitter's advanced, before they punch, they want to set their feet, right? They want to set their feet. So you're moving, but if you're boxing hesitantly and your feet are glued to the ground, he sees you standing still, he sets his feet and bam, if he's a heavy hitter. If he's a beginner, he's also probably not going to throw a punch unless he's got his feet set. Just this one little thing, this one little step, bob, step, bob. I'm not even slipping yet, right? For the heavy hitter guys and for the beginners, a lot of times just that little bob keeps them from, they feel like, I can't quite get my feet set. Now, of course, I'm simplifying it because really what you want to do is you want to bob, you want to move, you want to do stuff to keep them from getting their feet set, right? But that little bob throws people off, okay? Now, what does it also do? From starting that left, right, now I'm going to start bobbing, left, right, bam. I can start, here I'm going, I'm moving, bop. And because I'm already moving, I can pull off that quick slip. I can pull it off because it's like the gunfighter, Butch Cassidy, I don't know, maybe it's Sundance. I can't remember which one is Robert Redford. He's moving and he can shoot. He's standing still. He has no, you're from a standstill, it's hard to get the momentum. If you're moving a little bit, you can get that momentum. Okay, that's the first thing. So what you do is you practice first going forward and then going back. And then we're going to throw a tiny little change in the footwork, and you'll see why. So here we go. We go left, right, left, right, left. So if I'm going, I'm gonna do more of a more natural bob. Left, right, slip, slip. These are little slips, little slips. Go ahead and look through your binoculars. And now when you go back, you're doing the same thing. So I'm going to my right with my right foot going back, then my left to catch up. Right with my back foot, so to make it look more natural, back, 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 back. Now, that's a funny, simple drill, but we gotta change it up too. You also need to practice going forward and going back, but using the opposite move to your feet. So how does that work? Here I am. Instead of going left here, what I'm gonna do is when I take that left, that foot's gonna go to my left foot's gonna go forward, I'm gonna go to slip on the outside of the oncoming right. I'm gonna slip with my upper body to my left, right? So instead of going left, right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna step forward my left, but I'm also going to slip to my left and then back. So you see what I'm doing? Slip, slip, slip. And then when I go back, it's the same type of thing. I'm slipping here, but I'm going back. Slipping here, I'm going back. You see, the footwork is the opposite. I'll do it again slow. So if I was doing it the first way, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. That's like punch, 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 that drill. Then when I go back, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go left foot, right foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, right? If I'm going to do it the opposite way, look what happens. Step, back, step, back, step, back. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Look what happens. I step back, but I was over on this side. Then I come here. Step back here. Step back here. Step back here. Now that going backward, that feels a little weird, especially since I'm explaining it. But it would look a little bit more like this. Let me do it a little bit more natural. I'm not talking. Sometimes you can't talk and do things at the same time. So here I am. If I'm doing it the opposite way, right? Pop, 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 pop. Now let's go back. Pop, back, pop, pop, pop. You see, and every time I'm doing this little bob, why am I doing this little bob? This little bob is going to make you feel looser and more natural. Now, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it like I did in the high guard. You could be kind of more like the Marvin Hagler way. So when he was going forward, if we did it first, the left foot, the right foot, and everything, and where it's in time, I'm going to be parrying though with this side. So it'd be like here, parry, parry, parry. Right? If I wanted to go back, it's the same type of thing. Parry back, parry back, parry back. If you do this, you get used to this bounce, you can also practice going to side to side. That gets a little bit more controversial though, because really what you should do practicing if you're starting side to side is just do it so you remember, because you do the box step, right? So if I want to go this way, this foot first and back, this foot here. So then that way I'd step here, step, right? So you can do it with your feet. Now let's just worry about going forward and back. You can vary these drills, practice going side to side. So you hear pop, pop, but when we get into that, the problem is if you start doing it wrong, you'll start crossing your feet and you'll get into all kinds of messes. So let's not worry about that right now. Let's just, this one drill, this bounce, adding this rhythm to the drill. Now, why is that going to help? Well, one, when you get out there, just like I said, you will start doing that, and your natural rhythm will show up sooner or later. You keep doing this. It will keep guys from feeling like they can get their feet set to throw a bomb on you. And beginners want to throw bombs, and big punchers want to throw bombs. Okay? Now, what do? After you get used to that and feeling that bounce and that looseness, you're going to feel something. If you got that bounce and looseness, it's a little bit like the same feeling as when you're going forward and back, except for me, it's even better. You got the bounce and the looseness, and when I'm bouncing and loose, it's like the gunfighter again. Bam, I can throw that punch. So I'm bounce, I'm loose, bam, I can throw you here. Bounce and I'm loose, bam, I can throw you here. But there's another aspect to it. If I'm got this, look what happens when we talked about our shadow boxing. If I hear bam, bam, I hear bam, bam, hear bam, bam, I start being able to combine my rhythm with my slips into my shadow boxing. Let's take it one step further very quickly. We've got our box steps, and let's start getting the rhythm in our box steps. Bop, right? Bop. You can even do it like a dance. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, bop, 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 bop. 1, 2, 3. I'm in the opposite way. Bop, bop, bop. Now, you see what I just did? One way, when I went into my bounce, I did the step with my left, then with my right. The second way, I did the step forward with my left, but I slipped to my left, right? Practice your box steps. Now look what happens here. I'm practicing my box steps, right, to make sure that when people move on me, one thing box steps do is they keep you from starting to getting your feet crossed up. You just got to practice that box step drill. You know, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. More real time. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Now, if you start combining the box steps in this, everything starts feeling more natural. So, remember when we talked about shadow boxing? 1, 2, 3. What are we going to do? Slip to this side. Or we could come under this side and throw punches. Go to the same side as your last punch. Look what happens when you start tying all this stuff in together. So I can do a box step. Whoops. Got back to the wall. I can do a box step just to practice to get my footwork. Then 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, right? Come under. 1, 2, slip, slip, slip. 1, 2, come under, slip, slip. You see, you'll start feeling natural with it off that slip bounce drill. The other thing is then you can, when you're moving, right, you can throw in, that was an L step. Look what happens. I throw in the L step, slip, slip, throw in the L step. I'm not sure I'm in the picture. Throw in the L step, slip, slip, come back, slip, slip, right? Everything starts feeling very natural. Now, a lot of ways, you know, that you need to practice. You got to do jump rope. You got to build your rhythm. That's one of the reasons why jump rope is so important, right? You see these guys doing zillions of jump ropes. They're getting the rhythm. But also, you practice your slips with the rhythm. Because, look, how much stuff you can do. Here I am the first way. Left, right, left. Bam. Remember that? We talked about that bump and shift out. So left, right, left, bump, shift out. Come back, left, right, bump, shift out. What if I go the other way? Right? See, I'm shifting this side. 1, 2, 1, bump, shift out, slip, shift out. Everything starts becoming natural, right? Bam, pop, 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 pop. All this stuff. And some of it is just off that silly drill, that silly rhythm drill, okay? Now I want to get into some more things with slips, and we'll do a slip drill with 2 guys, that one we talked about, which is the standard, you know? So slip, slip, body, body, maybe you punch, but probably what happens is slip, slip, body, body, then you 1, 2, body, body, and you do that with the other guy. Doing that one like that's not really a good way to help. But even if you, and we'll talk about how to do it right. But even if you don't have the guy, another partner with you, and you can still, look, watch this. Slip, 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 or slip, slip, body, body, slip, slip, body, body. Other way, slip, slip, body, body. Why am I doing it with that bounce? Because after you get used to doing it with the bounce, it won't feel so slip, slip, body, so awkward. In fact, you'll feel like, you know, slip, bounce, body, body, slip, slip, body, body, slip, slip, body, 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 right? It'll just start getting automatic because you'll get used to that rhythm. You'll get used to coming off, also you get used to coming off movement, right? What will happen? You'll get where you've got that rhythm, and as soon as you go into the fight, you'll get this rhythm. And even if you're not doing that much, or you don't even know what you're doing, it will start becoming natural to you. The big thing though is your constant this rhythm, you will get into your rhythm. You'll feel like you're in rhythm, but you will be keeping that other guy from getting set with his feet, and you're not even, don't even know you're doing it, right? This will help you. It's not going to turn you tomorrow into a Golden Gloves champ, but it will get you ready to survive those first sparring matches. Instead of getting in there, you see guys, they get in there like that, and they try to slip, or they try to slip, and they just get pounded, right? They just get pounded. This is something to sort of get you past that, to start getting you past it, get that rhythm, okay? Now, I hope that helped. Like, subscribe. You can tell I'm taking it easy a little bit after being sick and isolating and all that. We're going to get out on the bags and do stuff pretty soon. But I appreciate you guys. Thanks for logging on, and I hope this helps you. Experiment with it, have fun with it, and keep your guard up.